To think what you want is to think truth, regardless of appearances. This is the 7-minute daily focus, day 19 of 365. To think what you want is to think truth, regardless of appearances. Wallace D. Wattles. Today's focus, recognition over reaction, the operator's choice. Before I continue, I would like to submit certain word terms. Appearance equals the objective state, the physical world, physical form, and the 5 common physical senses. Reality equals the subjective state, the metaphysical world, metaphysical form, the metaphysical sense, the first sense. Reaction belongs to appearance. Recognition belongs to reality. Reaction is the mind responding to appearance. Recognition is the mind acknowledging reality. Reaction comes from the objective senses, the physical reports of appearance, physical facts or secondary evidence. Recognition comes from the first sense, the metaphysical awareness of reality, metaphysical facts or primary evidence. Reaction is emotional, recognition is intentional. Reaction follows the objective world, the world of physical form and physical sight. Recognition governs it. Because reality precedes appearance, Hill taught, you either control your mind or your mind controls you. I concur with the statement with refinement. You either recognize reality or you react to appearance. Close your physical eyes, pause for a moment, bring your attention inward. Sense the truth of this. Reaction is automatic. Recognition is deliberate. Reaction is survival. Recognition is sovereignty. Reaction says speaking from the objective state. This looks difficult. This looks uncertain. And this looks delayed. Recognition says, speaking from the subjective state, this is already complete, this is already mine, and this is already actual. Reaction fractures the mind. Recognition stabilizes it. Understand this deeper distinction. Appearance, the report, reality, the cause. Appearance is the echo. Reality is the origin. Reaction comes from the outer world, the objective state. Recognition comes from the inner world, the subjective state. Reaction interprets what is seen, the physical sight of appearance. Recognition acknowledges what is real, the metaphysical actuality beneath all physical form. Reaction moves you into fear, doubt, and uncertainty. Recognition returns you to identity, presence, and actuality. Wattles wrote, stand by your purpose and do not be moved. Reaction moves you. Recognition roots you. Reaction is a choice made by an untrained mind. Recognition is the posture of the metaphysically driven operator. Walk deeper into this reality literacy. When you react, you hand your authority to circumstances. When you recognize, you reclaim your authority from circumstances. When you react, you let appearance, the objective state, speak first. When you recognize, you acknowledge reality, the subjective state, first. Appearance, the objective state, is temporary. Reality, the subjective state, is constant. Reaction affirms the temporary. Recognition affirms the eternal or timeless. Hill emphasized, a man's dominating thoughts determine his actions. Your dominating thought must be the recognition of what is already complete. Reaction says, this situation shapes me. Recognition says, my state shapes this situation. Consider this. If you react to fear, you strengthen it. If you react to lack, you internalize it. If you react to delay, you prolong it. But the moment you recognize, I am, the identity that completes this, appearance must shift. Rest in the thought. Appearance reports the state that holds itself as truth. Reaction weakens the state. Recognition reinforces it. Walk today as one who chooses recognition. Recognize completion. Recognize identity. recognize certainty, recognize actuality, and recognize reality. Let reaction fall silent. Let recognition speak first. Let your presence lead appearance, because reality responds to recognition, never reaction. Let me deepen this reality literacy concerning recognition over reaction, expanding its authority and anchoring it even more firmly regarding my teaching on reality and appearance. Reaction is always tied to physical evidence, the objective state. It is built on what the five physical senses report: sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell. Reaction treats these reports as the final authority, forgetting that the physical is merely the echo of the metaphysical. Recognition, however, draws from the first sense, the metaphysical awareness of what is already complete. Recognition looks not at the echo, but at the origin, not at the effect, but at the cause. Wattles insisted. Do not let outside appearances influence your mind. This is not denial, it is reality literacy. The metaphysically driven operator understands that physical form is secondary, derivative, and responsive. Appearance cannot originate itself, it can only report the state you hold. Hill taught, keep your mind fixed on the thing you want. This is recognition, the steadfast acknowledgement of what is true in the subjective state, regardless of what the objective state temporarily reports. Consider this vital principle. Reaction makes the objective state the master. Recognition makes the subjective state the master. Reaction says, this is what the world is doing to me. Recognition says, this is what my state is doing to the physical world. Reaction attempts to stabilize itself by controlling the outer world. Recognition stabilizes by anchoring in reality, the inner world. Reaction tries to adjust circumstances. Recognition adjusts identity, and circumstances follow. This is why the metaphysical driven mind does not entertain reaction. Reaction is always late. It arrives after the physical has already formed. Recognition is always first. It engages reality before appearance reports it. Walk with this elevated clarity. Every reaction reinforces the objective state. Every recognition reinforces the subjective state. Reaction binds you to what is temporary. Recognition aligns you with what is timeless. Reaction is noisy and unstable. Recognition is silent and sovereign. And the more consistently you recognize reality, the more swiftly appearance must reorder itself to match your subjective state. Rest in this thought. Recognition restores authority because it returns perception to the first sense. So today, recognize more than you react. Recognize sooner before you react. Recognize instead of reacting, because acknowledgement of reality is the metaphysical driven operator's highest power, and recognition, held without fracture, becomes law. Affirmation for day 19. I recognize reality, I stand in identity, I respond from inner presence, not appearance. What I recognize becomes physically visible.